It's called As Long as I Remember American Veteranos, and it's a documentary that explores the legacy of the Vietnam War on the Chicano community, particularly told through the eyes of artists. We filmed it here in San Antonio.
We explore the way that three artists deal with their Vietnam experience. And so specifically, these three artists are Chicanos from San Antonio. We have one of them is a writer, another one is a visual artist, a painter, and the third one is a poet, performance artist / actor.
Michael Rodriguez, who published Humidity Moon. Eduardo Garza is the actor and poet. He's been on a lot of independent films and Hollywood films. Mm-hmm. And Juan Farias is a very well-known and established Chicano painter. Well, for me, particularly, I really wanted to explore the Chicano contribution to the Vietnam War because as I grew up, I firsthand saw how it affected people's families and their lives. When we look at the films and when we look at the books, there's nothing there. There's very little there. Yeah. And you know, a lot of people have pointed out to like Ken Burns' war and the controversy that went up. But yeah, we always seem to be forgotten in the mix for some reason in the official histories. Yeah. And so sometimes if we don't tell our own history, right, you know, there's nobody is going to talk about it. So
one of the great scene in the film is the PTSD group meeting. Mm-hmm. It's a post-traumatic stress disorder clinical session, yeah, and it's a group of men, combat veterans that were there. You know, it was their weekly or monthly session.
Yeah, like bi-monthly session. They met twice a month.
Mm-hmm. And while we were filming that day, it just so happened that you know, we had the camera and the lights were on. It was a clinical looking room, you know, pretty sterile. You know, we had been asking questions. Laura had been asking questions, but it was very matter of fact. And then all of a sudden there was a blackout, and it was really strange because it wasn't like there wasn't a storm going on outside or anything like yesterday. Yeah. It was just a random blackout, and when the emergency lights came back on, they came out in the hallway, but not in the room that we were in. Wow. So as filmmakers, we were like, man, like, where's the lights? Right. You know? So we ended up...
but we were trying to be fly on the wall in that session, like I wasn't asking questions till the end. Remember, like we were just all set up as part of the circle, and we just had the cameras and the mics, and so when that happened, we just continued like that. But you pulled out a reflector.
Yeah, we pulled out a reflector and a flashlight
to try and keep going.
We had a strong flashlight with us, and you know, the men kind of acknowledged, like, "Ooh, what was that, incoming?" You know, and so all of a sudden it's like they were sitting around a campfire.
Really intimate.
And the conversation took a totally different turn, and they started to open up with themselves, you know, because again, like Laura pointed out, we weren't asking questions at that point. We were more observing. Right. But the mood changed, you know, 180. But now I think that they've seen how their experience can benefit somebody else, and maybe can help somebody else heal.
There are things that Chicanos went through because it is very unique. Like most Chicanos were very patriotic. A lot of them wanted to show that they were Americans. They wanted to continue that warrior tradition. That most of the men in my film, their dads served in World War II. Mm-hmm. When they came home, you know how people talk about people spitting on Vietnam veterans or disrespecting them. Well, perhaps they went through that, but not with their families. Their families were always very happy for them to come home.